This is hard to say, but I lost a $20 million account. And I don't know if it was necessarily mine to ever win, but I would like to think it was. Hopefully none of you have to go through anything even close to that large.
I am elated to have my friend, Alex Smith. For those that don't know you like I do, who are you? What do you do?
Thank you so much, Amy. I'm really elated to be here too. I am right now an account executive for a company called Docebo. We're all about making experiences where people love how they learn, not just what they learn. I've been a guy in sales. Really, I feel like I never really fell into it. It was something that I did when I was 8 years old. I was that Cub Scout that went door to door trying to hawk hams and cheeses. And when I graduated school, the PR route didn't really pan out. So I took door to door sales, and that was about 17 or so years ago. I can't even believe that I'm that old. So I've had a bunch of different roles since then, and that's me.
You're in sales, and for as long as you've been in and around sales, when you think back, what's one of the biggest missteps that you think of that you think would be helpful for anybody listening today?
I look at these as just opportunities, things that just didn't go my way, because I think failure, it's such a big word, and things don't necessarily have to be catastrophic to be a fail. We think like little things are catastrophic, and they're not. And big things, there's bigger things that are bigger and will affect you. And if you learn from them, they're all, you don't get to innovation. You don't get to learn sometimes unless things don't go your way. So I'm going to focus on the biggest deal that I ever lost in my career. And I'm in majors selling to organizations 500 to 2,000. This was a deal that wasn't just me, so it was a team, but I lost it. This is hard to say, but I lost a $20 million account in my career. Ouch.
Ow.
Ouch. Yeah, it stings when I think about it. And
it stings when I hear about it.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was necessarily mine to ever win, but I would like to think it was. It's a funny, sad learning moment in my career, for sure. And hopefully none of you have to go through anything even close to that large.
So before we go to what you learned, what was the miss?
It's a complicated story, but I'll just say the miss was not understanding well enough who came before us and what we were up against, and the feelings related to the incumbent, and how that they really, I don't know if anybody out there has had a deal where they equated you to another competitor that did some bad things to them. So when competitors that they've worked with before, they have a bad taste in their mouth, they're jaded, and then they just, put you in that box like you're the same exact as this competitor. Not really realizing that, not even considering that, not getting to the ultimate highest levels of power that I needed to get to. Those combinations, that was the big miss, that we didn't consider who they were coming from, and we didn't get high enough into the organization to the people that really mattered.
They had some PTSD.
Yes.
Where did you take the left turn specifically? What happened with you in that deal where you knew in that moment it wasn't going to happen?
I laugh about this now. My name's Alex Smith. So I tend to get emails sent to me mistakenly because you put in A, you put in Adam, you put in something, or you're just doing something quickly. And then all of a sudden, boom. And I'm like, what the hell is this email that I got? So my contact, who I loved, adored, she's awesome, she was great to me, CC'd me mistakenly. So I got on a plane and I got an email off the plane that I should not have received. And I was like, this is radioactive. I mean, this is like, when I say I shouldn't have received it, rate cards, internal communications, offers, contracts, things that I could be maybe sued for. And I immediately called my boss, what do I'm not going to send this out. I don't even want to, but of course I have to I'm reading it. So the general sentiment was, I'm going to feel more comfortable with this smaller player. As good as they've been, they're just like what, we've had with these other competitors. These are the CEOs talking that I've never met before. And so I knew that that was the end. And I got a call from my client. She was silent. She's like, Alex, I don't know what to say. I'm beside myself. She asked me to like destroy it, but like the point of the matter is that it was like a hard pill to swallow, but it was just the reality. Like there was no more selling I could have done. It was like I tried and I was flailing, but it was above her, and it just was that. That's when I knew that it wasn't mine to win anymore. And yeah, there's a bunch of things I learned from that. Like it was such a hard pill to swallow because in the end, I think we could have been a better partner.
Did she know that she CC'd you, or did you tell her like, look, I don't know if this was for my eyes or somebody else's eyes? Had she already caught it? What happened there?
I didn't want to email her back. I called my boss like right away. Like, what do I do? We talked, like, let her get it. And I mean, it took her a little bit. It took her like an hour, like maybe 2 hours, because I think she was also traveling. She was actually on our side, I think, but she was kind of fighting an uphill battle that, was just really tough for her to win. She was somebody that I enjoyed working with, I respected, and she actually called me, and it was one of the hardest calls to get because she just was beside herself. Like, what a colossal mistake, right?
Gosh.
For her to make.
We've all sent emails we shouldn't send by accident. It's that feeling times 20 million that probably was really not fun. You mentioned you learned lots of lessons from this. Let's walk through some of them.
Number one, I mean, never taking your contact at face value when they say like the decisions with me, I'm going to manage all this. You're always like, I don't want to piss this person off. I don't want to go around this person. They're at a very high level. I don't want to think that this person doesn't matter. You have to call things out in a way that's just direct and just real. I could have said something maybe to the effect of like, hey, like, I know this is you're quarterbacking all of this internally. I get that. In my experience, something this large never gets ink to paper without like an executive with some major buy-in on this. Will there be an opportunity to get in front of that person? And if it's no, or no, it's really all with me, like that's a red flag. You have to kind of like find ways to kind of not take them at face value, and just kind of like, I like the approach now of saying like, in my experience, nothing like this gets done without these people signing off. And if these people have to sign off, I'm sure they're really going to take your opinion absolutely. But I'm curious, like, what involvement did they have with your previous provider? What involvement did those CEOs? How do your CEOs feel about the previous partnership? And trying to get her to tell that to me. Ultimately, at the end of the day, even though the CEOs don't have any day-to-day involvement and they're going to go off of that that domain expert internally, they can just, with a strike of the pen, just say yes or no.
One of the best lessons I learned was you absolutely have to have part of the narrative, part of the deal, part of the journey, part of your relationship building. Whomever it is that writes the check, they hold the power. And even though this person's telling you, yeah, it's with me, they're not writing you the check. And so this is a lovely reminder for anybody listening, multi-threading. Let me say it one more time, multi-threading. Even if somebody tells you that they're the person, usually that screams to insecurity and ego, and is a really big signal that you still have a lot more work to do to figure out who else is involved, whether they write the check or not. And I would say, if you had other relationships beyond her that were influential to those CEOs, do you think you would have had a bigger opportunity to try to win it back?
100%. Yeah. It's depressing to me that nobody, I mean, with such a big deal, and it's on me, I'm going to take full ownership of this. But like, if people are listening to this, they'd be like, why didn't the guy get his CEO or his, get to hit their power and get them involved in the deal? And believe me, like I definitely ran this up the chain. People had a lot of visibility on it. I said, here's what's going on in the deal. But yeah, I mean, I should have been louder. I should have said, like, maybe we need our president to get some time and to reach out directly. And if we can't get that, we know where we stand.
Nobody else tells your story better than you. So when you're relying on somebody that is your champion to tell your story, especially $20 million worth of your story. And they also, so it's funny because Alex, you and I both spent time in HR tech, and I'm very familiar with this role that you had. The person that you're talking to, they also talk to lots of other people that sound and look and feel like you do. And so relying on somebody to tell your story when it can easily be diluted, which it was. Having somebody else do our work for us, and I'm not saying that that's what you were trying to do, but that's ultimately what they're doing, is they're translating our message There's so much that can be lost in translation, and especially when it comes to big decisions. So what a valuable lesson that was. All right, so the third and final lesson, what would that be that you'd like to share with everybody here?
Never discount the personal, emotional reactions from people in a deal. I mean, it's it goes without saying. You can read it everywhere, and people make emotional decisions. They justify with logic. I do believe that, but I also believe that emotions are so wide. There's a spectrum. It's not just, oh, they like us, they don't. It's they're equating us with a competitor. They're we got burned. That's an emotion. We can't trust people easily. We want longer deals. There's so many different emotions. So you have to find ways to call them out and call them out above the person you're dealing with. I mean, those can kill deals like in a second. It literally within a email chain, the deal, I mean, that we worked on for over a year or two, I saw it like, it was like I was in an airplane, and it was like my airplane luckily landed and I was healthy, but my sales airplane was crashing and burning, with me in it. And I had to watch it go down. But sales is all about getting back up and dusting yourself off and picking out things that you learn, which is why I love this conversation.
Last question, and thank you for opening up Pandora's box. A $20 million deal, that's a big deal. The largest deal I did in my career was a $36 million deal. And I know the table stakes, and it takes a long time, and there's a lot involved. So I get it. But flash forward to today, you're thriving. I'm curious, looking back in the rearview mirror and now talking about it out loud, what do you do differently today to make sure that doesn't happen again? That you don't have an email like that where your heart is getting ripped out, pummeled, chopped up, shredded, lit on fire, inserted back into your chest cavity, ripped back out again. That's what it feels like, everybody. It sucks.
Indiana Jones times 10,
Yes, exactly. When you think back, though, what do you do differently today to make sure that you don't have that happen again?
Good question. I think you need to have high-level executive involvement in your deals if you're going for something nearly that large. What I do today is I have something large that I'm working on today, and at every step, I don't feel like I have to do it all myself. You don't have to take pride in it was me. It should be our company won this deal. And that's how I think of it today. So number one, I would say getting people involved early in the process and talking through scenarios. And then the second thing I do is just, I find different ways to be direct and ask direct questions early on too.
I find that when we want to own something because we want to be the hero, that's our ego straight up in the front seat. And we all have ego. Yeah. It's how we park it into the trunk a little bit. It's the reason why people talk about quarterbacking a deal. You can still be part of that. It doesn't discount your abilities, your strengths, your smarts. It's especially at those levels where you're dealing with really visible high ticket items that it is important to make sure that the right people are in the room doing the right things, to not be redundant and to be helpful. And that is an art and a science. So what a wonderful lesson to learn and pay forward.
I'm not dead. I lost a huge deal. No, I'm still alive.
Thriving. You are thriving.
You're right.
Here's the thing. This stuff is hard to talk about. And even though you're past it and you're thriving, it still can be painful. And that's really what this show is all about, is to pinpoint those moments and why they happened and what we learned and what we do now to avoid it. That isn't just helpful for anybody listening, but it's also helpful to remind ourselves of, we did that, we got through it, we got better for it, and we don't want to repeat it. And so sometimes those reminders are really lovely. So thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate it. That's exactly what this show is all about, and it's where we grow the most. And so for anyone listening, I truly hope this was helpful. Alex, thank you so much. For anybody that's listening that'd like to talk shop with you, how can people find you?
Thanks so much for doing this. And I just do want to say this is such an important conversation, because everyone, if you're in sales, you will most likely probably fail more than you succeed. You're going to have little things not go your way. Own it and learn from it, and they're never going to be true failures. So great conversation. You can find me, best way is LinkedIn. Everyone's probably going to say that, but just Alex Smith, and there's a ton of them, but Alex C. Smith, and look up Docebo. Another place you can find me, I'd love for you to find me, is another podcast a podcast that I have. It's called Stories of Selling Human, where I just profile people that I think are really great at selling through the lens of human connection. And it could be people that are trained in sales, and it could be people that you would not think are in sales. They're just doing their thing, but people seem to listen to them, connect with them. They get people to hear them and connect with them in a way that most people can't. And Amy has been a guest, so check me out. Stories of Selling Human, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Alex, we've covered it all. Well, not all of it, but we've covered a lot. And I really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Until next time, everybody.
Thanks, Amy.
You've been in sales. I've been in sales. And in sales, it's a journey where we all have stumbled. And it is in these moments where we grow the most. So for anybody listening, I hope that this was helpful. This has been a Sales Feed production. If you're not familiar with all the fun things that they have up their sleeve, check out salesfeedmedia.com.